Instead of using Audacity for noise removal, we're just going to stick with Mixcraft um, because I found it to be easier and it actually allows the recording to already be in here rather than having to export to an MP3 and then drag back in. So, first things first, we have our track here. Let's listen to what it sounds like. You can see that hum that keeps happening in this track. And it happens, you see it in the beginning, you can hear it, it's nasty sound, something we don't want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my track, bring sound up, here's the sound, and I'm going to use the mouse scroller to zoom in to where I want to be. Now this is a good time to cut things out if you want to make something shorter. Granted, we're not looping anything, but we can start to cut bits and pieces of the songs to make this, if I wanted to extend it, it all of a sudden does the same thing over and over. So what I'm going to do, zoom in again, use the loop endpoint and the start point to cut at the time. But for now, I want to get rid of this noise. And even when I get rid of the noise, if I drag the loop, start over it, it'll still choose those slots that I'm selecting to get rid of the noise. And you won't be able to hear it throughout the rest of the time. So, noise reduction right here. We're going to do 50%. It shows a noise and it detects the noise right away, kind of like Audacity did. So what I'm going to do is, yeah, it's a nice little spot, but I'm going to say, hey, guess what? I don't want all of that. So now it knows this entire bit of noise it doesn't want. And so now, my playback, it's not there. Nothing in the background from what it was before. So let's go back to off. And just to show you the difference, I'm going to create a new track, copy this to the track. So this one, and now turn it back to 50%. There's some noise reduction. So now this track has the noise reduction, whereas this track does not. Let's listen to what it sounds like. You can hear that, right? It's still really loud. Let's mute this track and now listen to it with the noise reduction. Not there. You have to be careful with how much reduction you actually use. If you were to do 100%, you might take away from the integrity of the rest of the sound. So just be careful when you're doing that. Make sure that you do it, because I don't want to hear that hum when you start recording. Now you're saying, hey, I want to get rid of the counting. Correct. So what I'm going to do is change my loop. Make it bigger. And the reason we do that is so now I have all of the singing. So be careful with what you cut. It takes a little while for it to register it. So be aware of that in the very beginning. Make sure you make the cuts here, and then once you've done the noise reduction, bring the cuts back in again, because it creates its own little slot from where we positioned it. So just be really careful when you're cutting into it like that. You can always just right-click and split. See, you can make the loop start, loop end, but here you can select the track, split it in half, move what you want out of the way, or even just delete it. So be careful when you're doing that, but make sure you remove that noise.